Welcome back to another installment of Inspiration Sunday. It is my absolute pleasure to bring you. Need more coffee. It is my absolute pleasure to bring you a beautiful soul on this planet. I am so thrilled that she is here to share her gifts with me and with you and with us collectively. Leonie, thank you so much for being here. I know it is very early in your side of the world, so it means the world to me that you would make the concessions and set the early alarms to join us live. This is amazing. So you obviously can do a much better job introducing yourself. I'm not going to do it justice, so I'm going to just turn it over to you. If you could let us know where you hail from, what you help amazing people around the world with, and how you got into it would be phenomenal.
Thank you so much, Danielle. I am super excited to be here with you today. And yes, it is just hit 4:40 here in Perth, Australia. It is early in the morning, so I've been up since 3 a.m. this morning, which is a beautiful time of the morning. I'm up in any case this time, so there's so much peace, and it opens us up to receive this time of the morning. So while other people are still sleeping, we are up and receiving the guidance for the day and kind of set the intention for the day, right? Yeah. So I'm in Australia right now. I'm originally from South Africa, but I've been here for over 17 years now. So this is well and truly home for me. I, like you, I support ambitious women to align to their soul. I love that bird. Love it. I support ambitious women to align with their soul purpose through awareness. Awareness is my thing, right? So through awareness, yes, so that they have a clear and guaranteed advantage on their journey to creating extraordinary abundance and freedom. Now, abundance and freedom, right? This is where we are. Abundance and freedom. And so many people get stuck on abundance being money and being a millionaire. But it can be such a different energy for different people, right? Yeah, so that is what I do. I love action takers. I love people who say, yes, this is what I want to create for my life. And then through my coaching and the work that I do, I kind of help people tap into their awareness, because I think awareness is the one thing that we've kind of lost, that connection to self. And once we tap into our awareness, our inner voice, it is then that manifesting and creating a business and creating a life of freedom and abundance and wealth becomes so much easier, because you've got the guidance, right? Once you tapped into that awareness, it's like having commentary from the universe, like 24/7. It's like, yeah, you go 2 steps this way and the universe goes, no, this way. And then you go this way. And it's all about awareness and flexibility, and always having that in there. So yeah, so I love working with people who have that drive. It feels like there's something more that they want to give to this world. And obviously with this comes the freedom. With this comes stepping out of the matrix, right? Coming out of the normal 9 to 5 into a passion, into a soul frequency where you can work around your family and you can just live a higher life, right?
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. It's just like all of the things. Yes.
Oh,
100,000 million%. Yes. That is, yeah. All of that is what I stand for as well. And this is why I was so excited to have you on, is because it does come down to awareness. And like you said, it is like that kind of all access pass to the universe. And when you learn to tap into that awareness, well, exactly what you said, you're guided, and it's easier to make decisions. It's easier to trust yourself. It's easier to deal with stressful situations, mostly because, in my experience at least, it really deflates the stress that other people would find, because you understand on a soul level that anything that's happening is actually happening to your benefit. And it may not look that way on the surface, and it may not be an apparent reason, but everything is always working out for us. So yes,
Yeah,
oh my goodness, all of it.
absolutely.
I love that. So how did you, I mean, if you're anything like me, I imagine it was kind of you followed some breadcrumbs to get where you are. I'm sure you didn't
Yeah.
just wake up one day and go, yes, awareness is what it is. So what did your path look like? Did you have a traditional 9 to 5 initially, and then you transitioned to coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. So the let's go back to let's say 2013, right? So I had come from like doing admin work, office work, and just the normal, just a job, right?
Mm.
And then I knew that actually from a very young age, I knew that I wanted to help people. I can clearly remember being on holiday with my parents, and I can see it as if it happened yesterday. There were these trampolines at the campsite, and I was jumping on the trampolines, and there was another little girl, but she was deaf. So I started playing with her, and I just, in that moment, I just knew that I wanted to help people who were deaf, right? So as a kid, I was like, there has to be communication there. I want to help her. I want to, bring healing to the world. So it started very early on, and if I look back at my life, I could see all the touch points of me wanting to serve, me wanting to help. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then obviously after school, things didn't work out. I wanted to do psychology. My grades wasn't even nearly good enough to get into university for psychology. Then I stepped down and I was like, okay, maybe I should become a teacher. My grades were still not good enough to become a teacher. So I was like, you know what? Next best thing was, become what am I going to do? Just down where I could fit in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I ended up wanting to study online as a preschool teacher. So I got in, started studying, and that just kind of fell by the way because it wasn't where I wanted to be, right? It wasn't, I was kind of stepping down from where my soul wanted me to be in any case. So fast forward 2013, after, having two beautiful girls in a different country, following the advice of different people. And one of those people are my dad. I can remember going to my dad and going, I wanted to study aromatherapy. And my dad, in his wisdom, bless him, from a very logical left brain perspective, said, nobody knows what that is. You'll never make money. This was when it just started coming through. So I trusted my dad and just went on and eventually went into sales, retail, merchandising and stuff like that. So my journey has been up and down, right? Again, let's come back to 2013. So after all of that, I still felt like I wanted to serve. I wanted to be there for the community. So I applied for the police force in Australia. And went through everything, went through the whole process, went through my psych evaluation, got into the health and fitness, did every single exercise on the day when we did the health and fitness. And when they came to the last one where I was meant to run, my ankle just said no. And I couldn't finish. That was literally the last thing that I needed to do to get in. And I was devastated. So back then, you needed to wait 18 months to be able to reapply into the police force. And it was in that 18 months that I found myself drawn to sound healing. And my soul journey started. Like it just took a complete turn from where I wanted to be to where I am today. So I started looking, bought my first set of tuning forks, started looking into that. And then I found I remember trusting this intuition, trusting this inner voice, right? This knowing, because obviously I've been working on the trusting this intuition. And I had my baby, my youngest daughter, in a pram, and I went to the shop. It was a crystal store. And I was like, I'm going to ask for a job here. Now, if you go to a store with a baby on the hip, there's a lot of people who would go, not sure about that, right? But I went in because I was guided to go there. So I took my resume and I went into the shop and I was like, I'm looking for a job. I would like to work in your store. And I got the job. So And then things just started growing. So then from 2013, then I did my diploma in sound healing. At that point, I was already a reflexologist as well. So, but I kind of started, that's where the sound healing started for me. And it was all about trusting that awareness. Now, I wanted to just quickly hop back to something, because as you were talking, we were talking about the trusting and following those nudges. There might be people on here, and I quite often get it, and they go, well, how do you build that trust?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you build that trust? Because it does take time, and it does take, it does take a little bit of time for you to build up that trust. Now, I want to share with your beautiful, beautiful people, I want to share this very simple exercise, and it is actually quite fun, that will help you build trust with that inner voice.
Awesome.
So it is, I'm assuming that most of your people would drive, like in a car, even if you take public transport. So when you stop at a traffic light, I want you to expect a number to drop into your head. So what you're doing is you are expecting something to come, right? A nudge, something from your inner voice. So you stop at the traffic light, you expect a number to drop into your head. When that number drops into your head, I want you to start counting backwards. So let's say you stop at the lights and the number 5 drops into your head. You start counting 4, 3, 2, 1. By the time you get to 1 or 0, the light turns green. Means go, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I love it.
Yes. So what is it doing? It is creating a full circle of receiving. Okay. So you receive the intuition. You are then going to trust it by counting. So you're validating that intuition that came in, right? Then when you get to 1 or 0 and the light turns green for you, you're getting instant feedback from the universe going, see, you got it right. So it creates this beautiful loop of trust. And it is such a fun and simple exercise people can do. So I teach this to all my clients, and I'm like, that's how you build trust.
Oh, I love that. I have not heard that exercise before. That is so fun. I'm going to try that. I love it. It's so, and you know what, like you say, it's that feedback loop of I asked, I received, and then I got proof that it works right away, because that's really, that is the practice that it is. It's not, because this is, I think some people don't understand, is your intuition is trying to speak to you all the time. It's just, you're not listening. It's not, because it's not loud. Right? The ego is very loud. So we are trained from a very young age to listen to the ego. And we're trained very much to not listen to the little voice in your head, because no, that's wrong. That's not going to work. Like your dad was well-intentioned, said, aromatherapy is not the way, even though who knows? I mean, obviously that wasn't part of the path. And we understand that things unfold the way that they are meant to, obviously. But it's just a nice example of, like I say, the training your mind to listen to the intuition and then hear it and trust it. And then, like you say, get proof immediately that it works, because that's the hard part, I think, for a lot of people is, like I say, for one, they don't realize that their intuition is talking to them all the time. They've just quieted it down so much, or their ego is so loud because they've trained themselves to listen to that. But also, I find, depending on how you're training your intuition, the time between the intuitive nudge and the feedback can be long enough that the ego steps in and starts talking you back down out of whatever you got the intuitive nudge for. And I think that is one of the reasons why so many women have the doubt over what business they should pursue, or who their niche should be, or who they want to help, or what they want to help with, or whatever, because they hear it, they get it, and then just as quickly they talk themselves back out of it. I actually watched my husband do this once. He kind of downloaded, I forget the actual conversation, but he basically got a download of some really genius idea. And then almost exactly as he was finished talking about that, he started to talk himself out of why it wasn't going to work and how, and I thought, wow. And there's no point in, there was nothing that I needed to do. It was just interesting to observe watching this
Yeah.
this very quick, I have chills actually as I talk about it, because it was very interesting to watch it go from, this is a great idea, because he was lit up, he was excited about it and everything, and then literally the second he was done talking about the idea, it started, well, this and that and the next thing, da 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 da. I was like, wow, that is
And it's
interesting.
interesting. So you would have observed as well energetically. So as you're talking, I can actually see this. So you were saying that he was lit up, right?
Yeah.
You can see that energy. And then the more he kind of reasons, you can actually see people's energy go,
Mm-hmm.
just come
Yeah.
down to a point where it's like, no, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
From, oh my God, I'm so excited, to it's not going to
Yeah.
work, right? So how
Yeah.
often do we talk ourselves out of the magic that's there for us? I've got a beautiful story when it comes to that, talking yourself out of it. So my daughter was, she must have been like maybe just 1 year old. Like she'd just transitioned to her little low bed, like a normal bed from a cot. And she was really sick. And I was sitting on the ground next to her, and I was kind of just stroking her head and kind of just to get her to ease and fall asleep. And the intuition dropped in, she's going to throw up on you.
Mm.
And I was like, I looked at her, I was like, nah, she'll be okay. And before I even finished the she'll be okay, she just all over me, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I really need to trust more, man.
Yeah.
So you have these
Mhm.
stories where you kind of have these nudges and you get that instant feedback again, but it's for the wrong reasons, right? It's not a
Yeah.
good go. It is like, yeah, I told you so. But
Yeah.
I want to quickly go back, because there might be some people who are going, well, what is that voice? Like how do you hear that voice? So that voice, like you said, is very quiet, and it is usually the first thing that drops into your head within that 1 or 2 seconds. After 2
Mm-hmm.
seconds, you can start disregarding it, because that's the subconscious mind bringing you back to
Mm-hmm.
safety, right? Wanting to keep you safe. Now, it's not wrong for the subconscious mind. What it's doing is it's keeping you safe.
Right.
It loves you so much that it's keeping you safe. But you need to trust your intuition that little bit more than the subconscious mind. And you need to build up that trust, right? Because beyond the safety of the subconscious mind, that's where the magic lies, right? So it is trusting, building your trust with your intuition, doing these fun little exercises. And the reason why it is so important to make these exercises fun is because creativity and imagination and the soul and your higher self and your awareness runs hand in hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's creative play. So being flexible, being playful, that will allow you to override the subconscious. So when we're doing that traffic light game, what we're doing is we're showing it's fun. So when we are validating it, we're going that out loud, speaking it. So we're creating a circle. It's kind of like a circle of safety, showing the subconscious mind that we are allowed to trust this, and it's validating, and it's like, yeah, it's this whole process. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's so true. It's funny because the things you're saying, like I have said myself too. So it's so nice to have confirmation for me. And I'm sure everybody watching likes to hear the same thing from somebody else, to see like, okay, she's not making it up, like it is a real thing.
Yeah.
Because you're right. It is that instant response. And then after that, like you said, then you start to spiral, the ego gets involved, and da 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 da. And like you say, all of it is to keep you safe, because anything that isn't known already, anything that we don't have proof of already, is dangerous, right? And again, this goes back to so many women I know who are following me, who may follow me in the future, who just in general out in the world, God knows I went through this too, thinking I should start my business and then not, and then thinking I should and then not, and then thinking I should, then, and this went back and forth for quite a long time. And because we get the idea, we're like, yes, okay, this is what I meant to do, this is so good, and then you start to talk yourself back out of it, right? And even with just different, offer, like even after, once you establish yourself, okay, I'm going to do it, this is what I want to do, okay, I should do a live on this, and then no, nobody's going to watch it. This literally happened to me the other day. I was gonna go live, and then I was all prepared, and then my head kept trying to talk me out of it, and I was like, well, no, I'm gonna do it. And then I did it anyway, obviously, because I know what's happening. But it kind of got me thinking about how often people who don't understand, like you say, that they need to stretch their trust just that little bit more, they talk themselves back out of the amazing things. And I want to go back in your story just quickly about how, you know, you had this nudge to start your own business and then it didn't work out and people gave you, you know, good intentioned advice, but because from a safe place, right? Because they believe in the system and the whole, you know, we don't need to go down that road, but you understand. And, you know, I believe, and you kind of touched on it already, that the universe, God, angels, whoever, you know, whatever you believe in, will give you those little quiet kind of nudges. But if you're not listening, you'll get a full on push off the cliff. So for you, you know, the kind of the push off the cliff was the ankle given out on you, because it was like, look, you're not listening. So now I'm going to make it so that you don't have a choice. And you're going to sit down and you're going to, while you're recovering, while you're healing, I'm going to make it so that you have no option but to immerse yourself in this skill that you already have. You just don't recognize it. Right.
Yes.
I had a similar thing for me when, like I told you, I went back and forth trying to start my business and then, no, I'm not going to. And then at one point I ended up joining a second network marketing company instead of starting my business because I was just like all in my head about it. And I kept making up this story that, you know, I didn't have time because I was a stay-at-home mom and my son was a toddler and I was never going to, you know, how was I going to do that? And then, which is of course BS, because if you can make the time, if it's important to you, you'll find a way to make the time, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is ultimately what I ended up doing. But in the interim, what ended up happening was my husband, who also needed to leave his job, he was also getting nudges to leave that job, and we kept not following them, and I kept pushing him to stay there because it was safer for me, for him to have this like stable income and blah blah blah, right? Anyway, so it came to a head where both of us were kind of shoved off the cliff at once when he was kind of forced to go on this very abrupt medical leave from work. So he was shoved off the cliff to end working, and I was shoved off the cliff. Okay, well, you've been saying this is the reason why you can't start your business. I've just removed that barrier of the bullshit you keep saying. So, you know, have at it now. So, you know, we both kind of had no choice but to kind of fall into line, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just, I love these exercises that you're sharing, because it is so important that we trust our intuition, because our intuition, who is linked to, you know, source energy, will never lead us astray. And it is in that voice, as I'm sure this is something that you specialize in, it's in that voice that we hear what it is that we need to be doing. Like, that's how we find, and this is something I teach too, like, this is how you find your literal purpose for being here in this, you know, human costume right now in this time and space, because you have a purpose to fulfill. And probably like you, I know for me, and we're very similar, so I'm going to imagine it's the same. People don't find us. They don't just come across us. They're guided to us when they're ready. Right.
Oh, for
so,
sure.
and this is something that I say all the time. Like, if you're in my world, this is not an accident. Like, you need to listen to what I'm saying, because right now it might sound like craziness, you know, but there's going to come a point we're going to go, oh my God, I heard this. This is what I need to be doing. And it's by the sooner you can trust that awareness, that trust your intuition, the sooner you can trust yourself to move forward and follow, you know, your dreams. So I would love it if you would, like, what was that transition like between, I mean, you kind of touched on it already, but, you know, you've got a sore ankle now, you can't pursue your business, you kind of found sound healing. What was it like to transition to, like, okay, I'm doing it no matter what anybody says? Because I'm sure your dad was still one of the people who was like, wow, that's a good idea. I think you should get a, you know, safe job or whatever. What was that like for you? I know that transition is difficult for a lot of people.
Well, it's interesting because my dad is actually in South Africa. So by the time that I transitioned into the sound healing, I was not in South Africa anymore. So I was in Australia. But it's interesting that that energy was transferred over to my, at the time, husband. So I'm no longer with him. And he was then the voice of reason, right? Yeah. So, and I would often hear, you know, when I was well on the journey in the sound healing and I wanted to start doing these things, I was often told that that's just a hobby, it's not a job. Go find a real job. Okay. Here I am 10 years later and I'm living by myself, supporting myself. So, you know, it's trust your intuition. So Um, what I want to touch on with this and the trusting and the transition is, as creatives, as people who serve, when you want to create your own business or you want to do something, quite often what happens is you will get intuition to do this little thing, and then you follow it and you do it, and then it might not quite work out, and then you go, well, what's the next thing? And you follow the next thing, right? And you go, oh, that didn't work out, and then you go follow the next nudge. And you're like, I keep following my intuition, it keeps taking me all these places. I literally posted, I'm literally gone through this right now, where I posted it, I think yesterday, was like, trust where you're being guided to. All these little things that you've been doing is little puzzle pieces into the bigger picture. Trust it, flow with it, right? And it is, the transition's going to be there. Like, I went to a reading once with a psychic, and she said to me, she says, Leonie, you're doing so much, like, you're doing so many different things. She says it can confuse people. It can make people think and believe that you are just very scattered and you don't know what you want in life. She says, what you need to do, if people ask you, what do you do? And she says, right now, I am doing this. So you're not confined to this moment where you go, well, if I had to say, in 2013, when I was a reflexologist, it was like, I'm a reflexologist. No, right now, I'm into reflexology. And that kind of opens up that, if I do go with the flow, and the next thing I fall into is, right now, I am stepping into sound healing, because that's where my soul is guiding me. And then 2 years later, you've got all that experience, and then you can start stepping into, for instance, doing one-on-one healings, and you can go, people ask you, what are you doing? What do you do? Like, right now, I'm a healer and I'm working one-on-one with my clients. And then fast forward 10 years or whatever, right now, I am a coach and a mentor. So it takes away that this is it, right? It keeps you in that flexibility.
Yes, I love that. I love that you brought that up. I'm just nodding along, because for one, I think you're right. I think a lot of us, there's a lot of different avenues we can help in. There's a lot of different aspects we can help in. And it's funny that you say about the puzzle pieces, because I literally had a similar thought earlier today, actually, because I've realized, okay, so I'm going to back up only a little bit. So
go for it.
I'm working on creating a new program right now. I've already got people waiting. The doors open on the 18th, and I'm just waiting I'm loading the content right now. It's called Purposeful Profits, and it's literally to help people uncover their purpose and turn it into an online business. And the idea is that I'm going to walk you through all of the things. So there's no overwhelm. There's no, I need this shiny object and this master, like all the things to be able to start, build, and scale this business, so that it, at the very minimum, replaces your income, so that you can create that freedom, right? But it's funny, because for one, this idea has been coming to me on and off for a couple of years, and I realized that in different capacities, I've already kind of executed parts of it, but not to its full extent. But the funny thing is, I realized that earlier this year, I launched a program called Be Here Now, Be Her Now. So it's be here with the second E in brackets now. And the whole idea is embodiment of your ideal self while you enjoy the present more, because if you are fully embodying your future self, well, she's enjoying her present. So if you enjoy your present now, like it's like a very meta thing, right?
Yes, beautiful.
But the funny thing is, I had current and past clients go through it, and they loved it and said it was really great, but they were like, but it's not a beginner's program. And I thought, okay, well, that's interesting, because I was marketing it to beginners. And so I realized just today, actually, that program is actually what is supposed to come after this program I'm creating now. Yeah. And so, because I mean, obviously, I want to be able to provide people a way to stay with me as they move through their journey, right? Like, once they've built their business and they replace their income, okay, well, now what? Well, now you want to embody your ideal future self for maximum impact, not only for your business, but for your family, for you and your full enjoyment. Because so many, I mean, I don't need to tell you, so many business mentors, coaches, people, they get it wrong. And I have gotten it wrong, where you're focusing on the next goal, the next thing, the next this, the next that. You're not building the foundations. You're not doing this spiritual and personal development, base that everything needs to be built on. Otherwise, you're just constantly just kind of pulling it. Okay, how can I make money today? And nothing is created properly, and then nothing lands properly, and then you're in this cycle of not enoughness, and it's just like a whole thing, right?
A whole thing,
but
right?
It's funny because not only that puzzle piece, but I have tons of, as I'm sure you do, tons of little offers and courses and masterclasses and this and that. And it's just funny because you're doing each one and people are probably like, well, now it's this thing, now it's that thing, now it's this thing. But it's like, but it all falls into place. And now that I'm on this end of it, this many years in, and I'm taking it from this angle now, not only have I learned the right and wrong way to do things, the peaceful
sure.
and not peaceful way to do things, but also, like you were just saying, I have proof that it may seem scattered at the time, but there will come a point where all the puzzle pieces fall into place. So by the time you are, ready to scale your business and run things more on autopilot and have those structures and the nurturing and the funnels and the things that really help you run a business in a peaceful way, well, now you've already got all these things. Yeah. So it's so much easier to do all of that because now, as you've also learned more along the way, so now it's just a question of plugging in this thing and that thing and this thing into this like sequence you're building, for example. Yeah. And you're like, I don't know, just all of a sudden it just makes sense. And you're like, okay, I get it now. It's been a little frustrating on the way, but here we are. It's okay.
You know what? So if we had this, because we had this scheduled for last week, right? So if we had this conversation last week, I would not be able to tell you the story and tap into the energy that you've just shared, right? So you're frozen. I'm hoping that you can still hear me. So
yeah, you froze too, but I'm okay now. Are we good?
We're good.
We're good.
Right.
Okay, good.
So yes. So if we had this conversation last week, I would not be able to share this with you and tap into your energy, right? So I have, like you and like so many of us creatives, we've done so much. Like I've done so many different workshops and little things, bits and pieces, and I've got all these information and files on my computer and they all stacked away. So I got an intuition, like I know that my goal is to reach a lot of people. Like awareness to me is the foundation that you were talking about. Yeah. It is the foundation that people need to get right, because without that awareness of who you are, how you receive energy, and just how to follow and trust that, it's like building on quicksand. Like you're not going to have that foundation, right?
Right.
So I had all these courses. So and this is again showing you the process. You might be sitting, I'll go back to the story now, but you might be sitting with an idea and you might be trying, and it feels like you're failing. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. Yes. Every time you do something, you're going to be moving forwid. Okay. Yeah, now, exactly. My story. So I've done all these courses. I've all this information. So I know that I want to serve a lot of people. I need to reach a lot of people with the awareness, right? So I had the guidance and I felt the nudge that I need to reach people. So my head went to the logical brain, left brain, went to, okay, which means that if I need to reach more people, I need to do online. So do webinars. I need to do, go online. That was it, right? So I put all my effort and energy into building landing pages, taking my course, putting it on the internet, just developing the whole thing, creating the slides for the webinar. It was going to be like a 2 to 3 hour webinar about manifesting, around bringing awareness into manifesting, and that's a game changer on a different line. But then I was like, so I built this whole thing, and then I was going to support them through a 21-day challenge afterwards, because I really am big about supporting my clients and making sure they understand it and you integrate the information. So I was going to support them through this. So it was going to take pretty much a month of my time to take them through this process. Mm-hmm. So I did it, put everything out there and launched it, and crickets. Nothing. I'm not lying to you, not one person for the first 2 weeks. And then I sat with it and I was like, something doesn't feel right. Besides the fact that the universe is giving me the feedback and saying that something is wrong,
Right.
like it didn't feel. So I felt into it and I changed the name and it sat better with me. And I was like, yeah, that feels better.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks more into the awareness. It speaks more into where, what it is. So changed the name. And a week later, I ran some Facebook ads. Thousands of people clicked on it, saw the post. I had over like 500 people click the link to go to the page to go and see the information. Nobody booked.
Wow.
And I was like, this is a
What?
pretty big fucking, So I was like, okay, you know what? I can't do this anymore. Energetically, I can feel myself going down. Like I'm starting to feel despondent. I'm like demotivated. I'm just like, woke up one morning and I sat down in my healing space and I was like, right, let's have a chat. Universe, now sit down. Let me know what's happening. So I checked in and the message I received was cancel it all. I was like, I'm like, okay. I know this. I know that it was one of those intuitions, it was just a knowing. And I know that when I receive it, I know what I know, what I know, what I know, and I'm going to trust it no matter who says what. I don't care who says anything about it. So I was like, right, I'll do it. Cancel everything, pulled the pages, pulled all the banners off, everything, cleared it up, put new generic post covers and things up there. And I was like, well, what do you want me to do? And it just said one word, write. And I was like, what, you mean I need to go back and start writing on the book that I started 3 years ago? That I got the intuition to write 3 years ago? And it's like, yeah, write. And I was like, okay. So I sat down in front of my computer and then I received the next intuition. And it was like, no, we said write. We didn't say the book. That book, we said write. I sat with it again and I was like, well, what do I write? And they said, create the journal for the 21-day challenge that you were going to run by yourself. Write it, create a book, the journal, that you can sell it on Amazon. Or you can sell it after people have done a free webinar on the advantage of awareness in manifesting. So then it made sense, right? So now what I've done is I'm going to take, and this has just happened, right? So this is all very fresh. I'm going to take that webinar that I was going to get people to pay for. I am now going to give it to them for free. All right. Then I'm going to send them to the journal that they can go buy the journal and they can do the 21 days themselves. And this becomes then an evergreen product that I can put out there. And it just feels so good because now not just is it connected to selling and creating and becoming a publisher and putting that book out there, it is now things are starting to flow. And then it all made sense. Why nobody saw my posts the first time around, all right? And even my engagement on Facebook, across the board, fell. There were days where I didn't have one comment on any post that I put up. I'm not even talking about work. I'm talking about personal stuff as well.
Yeah.
So the universe completely slowed me down, and because it was out of flow. And within a day of receiving the information to cancel the course, to create the journal, I had created the journal and I published it to Amazon.
Yeah.
Because that was the right energy. Things flowed. It was easy, right? So when it's a struggle, you have to sit back and you have to go, why is it a struggle? Now, sometimes you have to overcome that struggle to get to the next thing. There is an opportunity for growth there, but sometimes there is that it's just the wrong thing. It doesn't mean it is it's wrong. I learned a lot. I learned a lot by putting that much effort into, and I learned a lot about, putting products out there. I learned a lot about technology, because you have to learn about technology.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it was a failure. It means that I grew through that experience, and it just added to what I can do. And it's taken me, and it's also given me, it's taught me a very valuable lesson, is that you have to stay, once you've received that awareness of where to go, you have to stay in awareness, because you don't know where you're going to have to turn off. It's like, I explain it like this. So an analogy that everybody will understand, right? So let's say life is a shopping center, you're in a mall, and you know that soft voice, intuitions, you're not hearing it. So the universe goes, well, we want her to go in that direction, but the only sign that she's going to see right now is that big red Target sign, right? So let's give her the sign for Target, because that's going to send her into the right direction. Okay. Now, I'm wanting to buy a gift, and I'm not listening to the nudges of my soul. Like, I'm not getting the little intuitions. And then all of a sudden, I get the intuition for Target. What I do is I go, oh, Target. And if I'm focused on that intuition, that awareness, and I only go to Target, I'm going to miss the little shop in front of Target that's got the most beautiful little gifts that would have been perfect for me, right? But if we stay in awareness and we go, okay, I see what you said, but what's the intuition? What's the awareness in this awareness? Then I'm going to get to that shop, and my intuition is going to go, no, this is actually where we wanted to take you. This is where the gems are. So it's really important to stay in awareness all the way. And that's what happened in this process for me. I'm still in awareness. I've now created, because I've just been sitting and I've been taking all of these little courses that I've been doing. I've now been turning them into journals and workbooks that I now can put on Amazon. I've now got 2 books on Amazon.
Amazing.
And I'm busy with the 3rd one. And it is all courses that I've done over the years, information that I've put together. And now I can go and reach millions of people with that book, or those 3 books on Amazon. So you never know. You think it has to be webinars. You think it has to be online. It could be completely different. So stay in awareness.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. All of it. I mean, and it's funny the way that example was just brilliant too. That was just brilliant. But it's funny because that was kind of my journey to where I am, was very much like that, because at the end of 2017, I was introduced to The Secret. Previous to that, I did not believe in God. I did not believe in the universe. I did not believe in any of it. Okay. I thought humans were the highest form of intelligence, and that was that, and that was it. And anybody who said otherwise, I was like, you're an idiot. Like, honestly, it was so bad.
Wow.
Very, very arrogant, very in my ego, right? I am a Leo. I partly can't help it.
But God, I'm a Leo too. Totally get it.
So you get it. So yeah. So it was just, yeah. And my husband is very much like, he's not religious, but he has had many just kind of unexplainable situations happen where, so he's a believer, 1000%. He kept trying to he wanted me to kind of come along, and I was like, okay, stop. I'm not into it. It's not going to happen. Like, you can believe what you want to believe, but I don't.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so my target sign for where I am now, because obviously now I'm a very spiritual, I've discovered the universe, I've discovered God, I speak to my guides, I ask God for help, I ask the universe to guide me, all the things, right? And I understand that I'm actually not doing any of it. I'm just the channel. I'm just the conduit for it. Like, it's not even me, So it's just funny to hear me talk like this, because I would not have thought, like, if you said 10 years ago that this would be where I am, I'd be like, you need to stop smoking, right? Because there's no way. But for me,
yeah, it's true.
The target sign for where I am now was, first, it was introduced to The Secret because I was in network marketing. I very much could see the potential for, so I am a Leo. I am drawn to shiny things, big dollar figures, Like, I'm not going to pretend that I'm not. I went from a lot of career changes. I wanted to be in event management, and then I wanted to be a financial planner, like all just very kind of like high profile, high income professions. But I also learned that I just cannot be employed by anybody. That's not my, but anyway,
Yeah.
that's just not going to work. But anyway, so what I got out of watching The Secret initially was, look at all the money you can make, look at all these things you can manifest. I could already see proof of how I had manifested things. So it was very much like my kind of dangling carrot was money at first, because that was the only way, because the universe can, as you know, can only speak to you in terms that you're going to hear. Like you say, you're going to see the target sign. You're not going to look at this little, small business shop. You're not going to. So
You won't recognize it. Yeah.
exactly. So the breadcrumbs have to be laid in a way that you are going to follow them. Because if somebody had come in, if I had the intuitive nudge, or somebody had said to me, you need to become a life coach and teach people how to talk to God and all this, I'd be like, what? Like, no. So it was a very slow process too, because it wasn't even really slow. It was just gradual, because it was, okay, here's the secret. Here's how to manifest. And then, I mean, anybody who gets down the rabbit hole of manifesting gets into spirituality too, because there's just no way you can have one without the other. On a more than just material plane, right? Because then you realize, okay, well, it's not the things that I want, it's the feelings that they give me. And that's a very spiritual, anyway. And then it leads you to, like you say, self-awareness, getting to know yourself, uncovering unconscious blocks. Like you kind of go down the path of shadow work too. And it's all like, you can't have one without the other. And so all of that led me to where I am today. And my process of building a business and learning manifesting and all of that got me to being a manifesting coach. And then all of what I learned how to and how not to build a business led me to now, okay, this is how you do it, but this is how you do it streamlined. Because I don't know if you're into human design, but I am into it mildly enough to know that I'm a 1-3 manifester, which means I have to learn things the hard way. And I have to know all the things to know about the things. So my entrepreneurial journey has been a huge example of how I have to learn things the hard way. But as you know, it then puts me and you and whoever else has learned the hard way in a very good position to be able to teach and coach and mentor on that. Because it's like, look, it doesn't have to take you this many years. I know what does and doesn't work now. And I know how much conflicting information is out there. I know. And I mean, this is one of the huge problems in online businesses at all. Like you're saying, you felt like you had to do webinars, you have to do this, you have to do that, because everybody out there is preaching you have to do it this way. And then 5 seconds later, this person's saying, no, that way is crap. You got to do it this way. And then 10 minutes later, you scroll past a post that says, no, neither of those things work. If you want to make any money at all, you have to do it this way, or you might as well just give up and go and get a job. And it's like, what? Okay, this is all conflicting information though. So I don't understand. And then that's where I think too, people, if they don't have that awareness within the awareness, they don't recognize. Sometimes I will say, you end up creating something all the way, or 90% or 75%. And then it's not actually that thing, but it's what you learned and who you became in the process of creating that thing, that now you're ready to create this other thing.
Yeah.
But 100%. Sometimes you get derailed because you're hearing, oh, well, no, that's out now. And you're like, oh, well, I just spent, a month building this thing, and now I've got to change it all because now webinars are out or something. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
None of that matters. It's what like you said, it's trusting your awareness and following what you know to be true, because there in actuality, as you know, there is no right or wrong way to do anything. The strategy really doesn't matter at all. It's who you become in the process and who you are, right? And how you lean into your own, just how you trust yourself, because it's all going to work. It's the confidence that sells the thing anyway. It's not the strategy used to attract the people. It's the energy behind the thing. Yes, exactly.
It is, you know what? I think if more people followed their soul journey, their soul frequency, their purpose, their own energy, instead of looking outside of themselves, they will manifest way quicker. Yes. They will reach their purpose way quicker. They'll understand things way better. That is why it is so, so, so important to come back to you. Awareness, self-awareness, that inner voice. When you have that, okay, it doesn't matter what the world says it has to be.
Yes.
right now I am following my intuition. Right now, this is what I need to be doing, because my soul knows what I need to be doing 6 months from now, or what I'm going to be doing 6 months from
Yes.
now. And this is the thing that I have to do now to get me to that point there, right? It is when we don't trust that inner voice that we start looking at the shiny objects out there, and then we get it wrong. And then we have to, it's never wrong, it's always a learning curve, it's opportunity for growth, right? But
Right.
it then takes us to, it takes us longer to get there,
Yes.
because we think, and this comes back to manifesting, right? So it becomes, you become matter, you become dense and heavy when you think it has to work this way. Whereas when you trust your soul, you trust the intuition, spirit's going to go, it goes this way, let's flow. And you get there like 10 times faster, right?
Yes. Yes. And I think that's so tough for some people because they don't recognize. I mean, they just don't trust. They just don't listen to the voice, because like you say, it's only in hindsight that it all makes sense. And people have heard me say, one of my favorite things is the good manifestation story, because it's only in hindsight that you recognize, oh, like you were just saying about your book. Oh, okay. This is why I created all these programs, so I can make all these books, so I can put them on Amazon and impact so many people at a lower barrier to entry. Because I mean, a book is obviously going to be less than a course, and people are going to, it's easier to dedicate time to reading a book than it is to taking a course. And people have all this built up. Not to say that courses or programs are a bad way to go. I'm just saying some people have a lower barrier to entry to reading a book than taking a course. And then of course, by reading the book, then they're, oh, who is this? And then they find you on Instagram, they find you on Facebook, they find their way into your, Facebook group if you have one, they find their way into the program because they're like, oh, hey, I want to do this, live with the coach, or I want to do it with video trainings or whatever. But, and like you say, you learn so many things in the process. Like I have learned, even just building, the tech and the software and things, I have learned so many things. When I first started trying to build landing pages, it was frustrating as all get out to try to get this thing going. But now I can slap together almost an entire funnel in like the matter of a couple of days, graphics and everything, because now it's easy. So, and all of it is because where I'm going, I know that I'm meant to serve tons of people, many, thousands, millions. And so
millions, sister, millions.
And so, but to be able to do that and hold space and be able to, I mean, I can't personally coach a million people. That's not going to work, right? I have to have the structures and systems and programs and whatever in place to be able to hold all of that and serve all these people in the way that they want to be served, and in a way that delivers the impact without sacrificing anything. And so, of course, I realize this year has been a year of epiphanies. I had a failed launch at the beginning of the year. Well, it wasn't a failed launch. By industry standards, it was a failed launch. But to me, I recognized immediately, I was like, okay, no, there's something else happening. And all the way down the rabbit hole to all the things. And I actually couldn't be more grateful for it, because I don't know that I would have come to these realizations had it not been
exactly
for that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all in hindsight. So you have to trust that building this funnel and this course and writing this journal and like you said, I have files and files. My whole Google Drive, I got a message, I have to upgrade it or I got to do something because I'm running out of space. And I thought, oh my God. And I was looking through here, like, what is all of this stuff? There's videos, there's journals, there's Word document ideas, my notes on my phone. I've got like 300 notes. Some of them are like good ideas for programs, but not all of them needed to be acted on, as you know, because sometimes that idea, it's like, oh, wait, no, that leads to this thing. And now all of a sudden it meshes to this thing you thought of a year ago. And okay, and I can add this module onto this thing, or I can add this chapter into this book, or you need to trust the process. And I think something that a lot of people, they let get in the way is they think that the process has to look linear, and it has to make sense. And often, like you say, the universe knows better than you and me where we're going to be in 6 months. I know where I want to be in 6 months, but chances are what is actually waiting for me 6 months from now is better than I could imagine, because I don't know what I don't know. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I don't know what kind of opportunities are going to come about. I don't know what kind of books I'm going to read. Right. And that's something else I wanted to say too quickly, was how we were talking about things being, partway finished, and then we abandon it because ego gets in the way. It's also possible, like for me, I'm really bad. Well, from the outside, it looks really bad that I will start a book, I'll read like 10% and then I'll put it down. But what I've learned about myself, because some people think, well, I can't finish anything. Sometimes you don't need to finish it. You just need how far you got in that book right now. Yep. And if you need what's left in that book, you'll be guided back to read the rest of the book. You'll be guided to pick it up again, or a course or a whatever, when you're ready for that piece. But chances are, I mean, of course, there's a fine line between self-sabotage and just not needing the information right now too. There's definitely, which is a conversation for another day. But like trusting your intuition and knowing, okay, no, I trust that what I got out of that book is where I need to be. Or, you're committed to a course and then you realize 2 weeks out, you're like, oh, I haven't actually looked at, I was going to finish this module and then I was going to do these journaling prompts and I forgot. But chances are whatever you heard in that module, you'll notice will have come up in conversations, or you will have heard somebody else repeat something similar, or
something had to happen first for the conversation. Like us, if we had the conversation last week, this would not have happened, right? We would not have been having this specific conversation. So
exactly,
we have to trust the timing.
Always. I love it. Oh, I love it. We could talk for hours about this. I'll have to have you come back. But in the meantime, I would love it, because you are just so amazing. I would love it if you would let all of the beautiful people know where they can find you, how they can work with you personally deeper, because obviously I'm sure everybody can see just as I can how important your work is and how beneficial it is to humanity, really, like honestly. So please share with us. How can we find you? How can we work with you further? Where do we find you?
Thank you so much. I am the awareness mentor. So I've kind of across the board, and this is also another beautiful story, but you'll find me on Facebook, you'll find me on Instagram as the awareness mentor. I've got a Facebook group that I've just started. It's the Awareness Hub, where I kind of just put some beautiful value in for you guys. And I love to, I go live every Tuesday night to answer questions and just have a casual chat with people. And quite often we get some really good value come from it. My webpage is leoniedutoy.com. And we might drop that in the comments, because Dutoy is quite...
I will definitely.
It's a French one, but so you can reach me there. And I mostly work with people one-on-one with my clients, because I love going deeper. I believe that it is really important to address what's happening right now, to bring awareness to what's happening right now. So yes, there is a time and space for a course that has steps. But for me, it's all about the now. It is all about helping you get to the next level now. If you're having trouble with self-worth, we'll address that now, because you're not going to go any further if you've got issues with self-worth, right? So that's how I work with my clients. I've got the last intake actually. So the last intake for this year is happening at the moment. And I work over a 3-month period with my clients, because I find that we get down and we clear up things, and 3 months is a really, really good time to help people step up. So that's enough. I think I'll leave it there. And then obviously, so I'm just in the process of finalizing the books on Amazon, but if you search up Awareness Mentor, everything that I am putting out there will come up for you. You don't even have to know the name of the book. Just go Awareness Mentor and it comes up on Amazon. And those books are designed to, they are guides, and they are designed to give you information and then also take you to a space of responsibility and taking action for yourself with daily actions. And quite most of them run over a month to 2 months. So it's kind of a workbook as well, because you have to take action. If you're going to do the same thing you did yesterday, you're going to stay in the same place, right? So it is about taking action, moving forward, and creating that life for you.
I love that. You're so right. I heard someone say once, if you don't actually implement what you learned, have you actually learned anything at all? And I thought, ooh, that kind of stings a little bit, because, how often do we read a whole book? How often do we read a whole book or take a course or watch a webinar, masterclass, whatever, and then you just go back to, oh, that was good, I'm so inspired, and then you just right back into where you were. So that's, your work is so important. Thank you for all that. I will make a point to circle back and add all the links into the description of the video so everybody can find you now and for
beautiful
time to come. And it's been such a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for spending this time with us.
You're very welcome. I want to leave one thing,
please,
and it is a when I was first starting out, and I can remember this like it was happening yesterday. I was sitting in a meditation. I was doing a sound healing for a group of people, and as with all of us, we go through and we have to learn and overcome our own limiting beliefs. And the message that I received from my higher self, my guides that day, while I was doing the meditation, was, do not limit yourself by comparing yourself to others. So stop looking around at what other people are doing and start following your soul. I've got chills. Start following your soul, because your soul knows, and it will never, never, never steer you wrong.
Oh,
thank you so much for having me.
That is
it was
beautiful.
Such a beautiful blessing to connect with you today. I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Leonie. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you so much, beautiful soul. Have a beautiful day. Bye.
You too. Bye.